Levels, levels.
Levels, levels.
Are you ready to start?
Sure. Are you? I mean, you look like you're in pain.
Oh, I'm fine. I've just got this stupid canker sore.
Oh, man. Yeah, those can hurt.
Yeah, it makes it difficult to pronounce my words. Do I sound funny?
No, but it is the cold open. It never sounds funny.
Hi, Todders. Welcome to Talking to Todd, a weekly podcast with Dwayne Johnson and Todd Prinz, where failure is always an option. Thanks for joining us. Hey, Todd.
Hey, how's it going?
I've been better. How are you?
Well, way to bring the positive energy. Pretty good. Pretty good. Wow, that's all right. With my guest today is Debbie Downer. Debbie, how are things going in your world?
Wah, wah. You know what I learned this week? What I learned is I don't have to write a cold open. I just have to conceive of a premise and a punchline and then let you do the work.
Was that written by AI? No, TP. Close enough. That one's for Sandy.
She doesn't listen to this podcast.
Yeah, it's fine.
So if I sound less funny than never mind. The canker sores are really I really hate it. Oh, I hate
Well, you know
them.
what? You know what helps. Here's the thing. You
Yeah.
just need to keep it wet and a little bit of anesthetic. So if you like every minute or two, just a little bit of bourbon. I think that is. I mean, I think that's the way to get through the podcast.
Sign me up.
Also, it's also the way for most people listening to the podcast to get through it is a little bit of bourbon every minute or two. Trust me, you do that, it gets funnier.
Or you don't care.
Either way, we're good.
Either way, we'll take the clicks.
We're recording on a short week. We're recording at the beginning of the week. Did we have time for any feedback?
We got so much feedback.
Oh, that's not great.
Toddler number one. You remember how last week she had no feedback?
Yes.
And we said 5 stars?
Yes.
No feedback is not 5 stars. And she related to me a story where she took a survey earlier in the week, and it was on a scale of 1 to 5, and 3. The definition of the number 3 was neither satisfied nor dissatisfied.
Okay.
She's like, that's where I'd put it. Okay.
Real quick tangent. I worked for an employer years ago. They were trying to redo the employee evaluations because there was, similar to grade inflation, there was sort of employee evaluation inflation. So everybody was getting higher and higher scores. So they redefined everything and they said, look, a 3 means that you're doing your job. Like that's what we expect. You're doing your job. Like we expect most people to be doing their job. Okay. And then if you're going above and beyond, you get a 4. You know, if you get a 5, like the CEO literally said, if I see somebody with all 5s, I want to meet them because they're the best employee on the face of the earth, which then told us don't give out 5s. Then later in the meeting, they also said, hey, by the way, we've really got to get our scores up, our customer survey scores, right? You know, and it was also on a 1 to 5. And we're really shooting for, you know, like we want all 5s on these. And
we strive for 5s.
Yes, and quite frankly, if people are giving us less than 5s, that tells us that there's something wrong and we need to go find, like the CEO will be following up on things that are less than 5. At which somebody raised their hand and said, how can a bunch of 3-rated employees give 5-star service? there was an uncomfortable pause that came across the room when a logic bomb was thrown into the middle of the floor.
Oh dear.
Anyway, by the way, there was no good answer to that.
I bet not.
Nope. Shut up and give the 3s. Make sure we get the 5s. Okay. Anyway, so here we strive for 3s. What else did she have for feedback?
It's better than striving for 2s. Yeah. Spaghetti pie is a thing.
Okay. But okay, when I said it's not a thing, I love spaghetti. Which pie is spaghetti pie? You have banana cream pie, apple pie, spaghetti pie.
It's more of a casserole that you make in a pie dish.
Yes. Yeah. I could even go with shepherd's pie is closer to a pie than anyway, that's fine. Okay.
The chicken pot pie, closer to a pie.
Yeah.
Well, probably because of the crust, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, it's really more of a casserole, but it's in a pie dish. Hence the name. Anyway, and it's better than pecan, she says.
Okay.
No, I said it's better than
you
pecan.
Said, yeah.
She did not. She anyway. Lisa have a chance? Did Lisa give us a 3?
No feedback this week.
Okay. 5-star review. Excellent.
I also believe that to be incorrect, but yes. I believe we not. I don't believe. I know next weekend we've got a couple hour drive one way, so we're saving up talking to Todd for the long drive. So what I'm saying is, good opportunity for feedback next week.
I said, you're halfway there, Bon Jovi. Todd didn't even react. This is Sarah Judson Brown. Todd didn't even react. Did that fly past him, or is he developing an immunity to your dad jokes?
If I'm honest, I may have missed it. I may have missed it. On the other hand, I may have heard it and decided not to give in, and not to reward the behavior. Did you notice? So, okay, another tangent. Previous employer, I'm in a meeting with my boss, doors open. One of my coworkers has his kids in there, and his kids have a Nerf gun and they've been playing Nerf things. Then they come around the corner, and then from about 2 feet away, they're just shooting me just straight in the side of my head with a Nerf thing while I'm meeting with my boss. At which point I just keep talking to her. Whatever. And my coworker comes in. I'm so sorry. And to this day, he even brought that up at Lindsay's wedding. He's like, you were just sitting there, just being shot in the head with Nerf bullets. Didn't phase you. I'm like, what was I supposed to do at that point? Like, pardon me, just a second. I'm sorry. All right, go again. Anyway, you just let it go. Did I just refer to your puns as being shot in the head with Nerf bullets?
Possibly.
I'm just asking the question. All right, what else we got?
Doug also said, you're halfway there, Bon Jovi. Missed show title.
Missed in more ways than one.
Okay, other feedback from Doug of the Educated Idiots.
Yes.
Doug discovers an article and genuinely thinks about Todd and how he would appreciate it. Sends it in to show his caring like an olive branch extended for inter-podcast global domination. Todd, yeah, whatever. Kind of saw it. Moving on. At which point, I responded, Dwayne sees an opportunity and exploits Todd's attitude in the Todd Oughta Know segment. Which I did. Item number 2, I had 3 of them, from Doug. The parallel of Dan and Todd as the Robin to Dwayne and Doug's Batman is astounding. Why do we continue doing these shows each week? Because dozens across the nation would be mildly curious if we didn't put one out. I'm just going to say that mildly may be overestimating. Isn't there a rerun of Law and Order that I've only watched twice? And item number 3 from Doug. When you said 33 states were higher than the southernmost point of Canada, I audibly said no, and my wife was quite confused. Which leads me to
actually,
it's 27 states.
Oh yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, that's kind of what I felt. That's why I was so confused with your 33.
Yeah, that's why you said 8.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. It's very clear. We were talking about Canada. 8 in the US, 8 in Canada translates to 27 in the US, and I was just doing the conversion.
And loonies?
Yeah, it's like a metric loony thing. Yeah.
Have you seen, speaking of, I don't know how my mind went this direction, but have you seen the meme about how Americans will use anything to measure except for the metric system?
No, I have not.
I would not encourage you to Google it, but if you do stumble across it, it's pretty funny. Let's see. Oh, and from toddler number 6, batch elder. Okay, hear me out here. The varied 3-point line should be standard. We talked about how the 3-point line on one end of the court was different from the 3-point line on the other end of the court for the women's game in Portland.
Yeah.
Right. The varied 3-point line should be standard. In football, you adjust your game plan based on the wind. You need to make one side NBA length and the other side high school length.
Okay.
Then every jump ball, you can either take the ball or you can pick the side of the court that you want.
Okay. All right. I'm going to yes and this. Okay.
All
right. Here we go.
That's why we do this.
That's where we go. Okay. I like it. I like the idea. However, when you said they need to embrace it, the first thing that thought in my mind is one of the things that we hate. So we should find things that we hate and bring it to things that we like. So one of the things that Uber and Lyft have is demand surge pricing. So imagine, if you will, right? The arc is lit, and like it's lit in 4 6-inch increments. If you haven't made a 3-pointer in a while, it gets closer. Now, the more 3-pointers you make, the further it goes out. How cool would that be?
At one point, I want to say this was like an NBA All-Star Jam that had pros and celebrities playing in a basketball game. And they would do that. And like they would light a spotlight or something.
Yeah. Oh no, that makes sense. I was thinking that too. A spot on the floor
for a 4-point shot.
Yeah.
And then it would go away. But it was only at a certain point.
Well, you saw what they did with the LED court for this.
Yes.
Like they could do this now, right? They could put anything out there. Yep. What would also be interesting then is because now they could put a 4-point spot, a 5-point spot, or whatever. What would also then be interesting is you could put negative spots like on either side of the lane. If you shoot from here, we take 2 away. Why would you do that? Don't shoot from there. Or here's yes, and the other one is you put a spotlight out at about, somewhere like 25 feet or whatever. And here's what you do. The light comes on And the player, you can call how many points you want that to be worth. Up to 5 or 6.
You feeling lucky, punk?
Make it, you get it. Miss it, you lose that. You deduct it.
Ooh, it's a daily double.
Yes. So you pull up and just yell 5. Boom. And then you either get it or you lose it. Let's see how confident you are.
I was feeling it. No, you weren't. No.
It gives a whole new meaning to a player's plus minus for the game. So listen, you actually ended with -6 points this game. Yeah, but you know what? I'll keep shooting because I'm due.
Let's see. Oh, should we go over to follow up?
Well, we have feedback we have feedback / I'm actually from Danny.
I was trying to avoid having to cover this story for the 3rd week in a row. Do you want to talk about this?
Well,
you're the one that he sent it to.
Well, he informed me that 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, whatever. I don't know. I'm not good with numbers. I said there's 3. I said this article said there's 3 trillion trees, and Canada has 318 billion trees, but it also said that Canada has 1/3 of the trees, and therefore that can't be right. And then I went back and I corrected that last week, and then Danny corrected me and said, actually, if you would have read the article, which, let's be honest, I skimmed it. It said that Canada has 30% of the forests, not 30% of the trees. So the 3 trillion trees, the 318 billion, it's all in the article. Now, I have 2 responses to that. Number 1, I was skimming the article for facts. And when you skim, you basically take like a whole bunch of stuff and you combine them into a single thing. Basically, I kind of took all those words and turned them into a forest, is what I did. But, which leads us to 2, which is Danny literally is telling me that I missed the forest for the trees. I thought that was a figure of speech.
Clearly not. No. Yep.
In this case,
I did not realize that that's where that was going to go.
I literally missed the forest for the trees.
That was a long walk for that joke.
Thank you, Danny. I think we should just, we've done a lot more tree-based humor here than I would have expected in the last 2 to 3 months.
More than you can shake a stick at.
Yeah. Or illegally cut down out of a state forest.
Yes, you can.
Because of 800-year-old English common law.
We have had a lot of forestry news on this podcast. You're right. I did not. Yeah. 4 years ago, I would not have thought that we would have covered quite so much.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to follow up.
Did you see? We kind of covered this tangentially last week when I tried to cover Oakland, not Oakland in Idiots.
Yes. All right. This is a picture of a nearly empty stadium. Oh, I kind of recognize. Is this a stadium in Sacramento? Are they already getting ready for the A's?
It is. It is the stadium in Sacramento, and it is nearly empty. It looks like Oakland Coliseum. Looks like an A's game. I'm like, oh, perfect. They're ready to go.
Yeah. I mean, when it came out and everybody's like, man, they're going to be playing in a minor league ballpark. I mean, it's only got, 12,000 seating for 12,000. It's like, well, the A's only average 6. So they've got more than they're still going to have to put tarps up here.
And again, the A's, when they say they're averaging 6, that's the best possible number. That's all of the smoke and mirrors to make the numbers look good. That's not actual butts in seats.
Yeah, no, that's tickets sold / given away / purchased by the whoever's their advertising partners who get 20 tickets with their package. That is not
Right.
That is not turnstile attendance.
No.
Yeah. Wow. That is, it's just, oof, yeah.
Yep. But again, Sacramento, ready to go.
We've already got the 4 fans identified who will be attending. We've also, one of the things besides covering forests, we've also talked about self-driving taxis and what a problem they've had. And you've even had firsthand report of that.
I did.
It is becoming obvious that these companies, a bunch of these companies are struggling. And one of the companies that is struggling is called, it's Canoo, Canoo. It has had to put in its regulatory filings once again that it has a going concern warning, which means that the business could fail within the next quarter. One of the reasons why, now in 2022, they generated $0 of revenue.
Okay.
They lost $506 million. Okay. So investors are putting up the money. They're trying to get ramped up. They did deliver 22 vehicles in the last year to entities like NASA in the state of Oklahoma. So they generated just under $900,000 in the entire year of 2023. However, you're like, how can they lose this much money? So they made $900,000. However, if you go through their expenses in 2023, the company spent $1.7 million on the CEO's use of a private jet. So a company that lost $500 million spent more money on just the private jet for the CEO than it made in the entire year. That sounds bad. It gets worse.
How could it? Are you sure we didn't jump ahead to idiots here?
Oh, no. I've got another one for idiots. This is just follow up.
Okay.
The jet is owned by Aquila Family Ventures. So the jet is owned by the CEO, who then lets the company reimburse him for the use of his jet.
To the tune of $1 million.
To the tune of $1.7 million while the company's making $900K. I wonder why these robo-taxi companies are struggling so much.
Buddy, we fly coach.
In theory, he should just be taking his robo-taxis wherever they need to go. That way. Well, we sold one more to your family. Oh, we don't buy that crap. Those things suck. Anyway, so yes, that could have been idiots, but it was more of a follow-up. So, all right. Where are we at now?
That's right. Sound means it's time for, I like saying America's favorite game. It feels like America's favorite game, but it's not. But it's not. Instead, it's Dwayne guessing them. So, hit me.
Okay. Dwayne, we have talked on here. We've done some things talking about, like, I don't remember the last one that we did. We'll say that something is, blank free, but it's not really free, right? Like, oh, bad setup. Anyway, we've done a number of these, and the reason why I'm dancing around this is because I was listening to 99% Invisible, another podcast, in episode 752. They were talking about something, and they said something. They were talking about the the federal standard to be called a lead-free product in the United States.
Yeah.
And as we've covered before, if it's lead-free, that doesn't mean no lead. So they pointed out that the federal limit to be considered for pipes, anything in dealing with water, is the device has to be 0.25% lead free to be or under to be lead free. So 0.25%.
Right.
I mean, that's still lead, but it's lead free. However, that law went into effect in 2011.
Yes.
Okay. Dwayne, prior to the law, it's the Reduction of Lead in Drinking Water Act of 2011, the RLDWA. That just rolls right off the tongue. Prior to the RLDWA passing in 2011, how much lead could pipes, fittings, fixtures, solder, and flux for drinking water, how much percentage of lead could it contain by federal law and still advertise itself as lead free?
I don't know, probably it's probably a number that is less than what occurs in the natural environment.
I mean, that's an interesting idea. Yeah.
Right. I mean, because like little kids eat dirt all the time, and
my kid's dirt free. What does that mean? Well, less than 2% of total body weight is dirt.
Right?
because kids, right? So you can't. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when Lucas was little, something like, I don't know, a cookie would fall on the floor and he'd still want it. And I'd pick it up and give it to him, and somebody would go, "Oh, really?" I'm like, 8 pounds of dirt a year. On average, I read that somewhere. Kids eat on average 8 pounds of dirt a year. It's an average. I think I'm still way underneath. Whatever. Anyway.
So that means by December, you're like, hey, I'm under. I can go nuts.
I can go eat some dirt. No, not nuts. Dirt. Even though some nuts just taste like dirt.
Looking at you, Pecan. Do you need a minute?
Maybe. I don't know, 2.5%.
You're low. If you want to, I'll give you.
Shit.
Yeah, I'll give you another guess. If you want to, aim. I'm just gonna tell you, you need to aim a bit higher.
Was I off by a full Dwayne?
More
than 5%. 8.5%.
Oh, there you know what? Super close on the third try. See, Danny, if you give him enough tries, he can get close. Okay. Prior to 2011, plumbing fixtures by federal law had to have less than 8% of lead by total weight to be considered lead free. So something that was 7.5% made of lead that was delivering drinking water could legally be allowed to advertise itself as lead free, and the federal government goes, "You betcha."
I need to go be a lobbyist for lead. Those guys are really good. Well,
yeah.
Up until 2011, they were really good. Whoever they hired to defend them in 2011 did clearly, because it's now, what'd you say, 0.25%?
It went from 8 to 0.25. Yes.
And that's still a debatable number as to whether or not that's an allowable amount of lead to keep people from being harmed.
Yes. Here's my thought. What happened to the lead lobby is they lobbied at some point for a high number to be considered lead free, which was then put into everybody's drinking water. Eventually, all of the people that drank that water became lobbyists, and by 2011, they weren't smart enough to defend the number because they'd been drinking lead free water for too long. To your point, however, just be real clear. Once again, this is better. 0.25 is better.
Yes.
It is still considered lead-free. The answer is anything above 0 shouldn't be considered lead. No. That's lead-free.
When we keep doing like several jobs ago, several jobs ago, I worked with a lady who said, if we're arguing about the number, we're losing. Thank you, Susan. If you're arguing, that's stuck with me. If we're arguing about the number, we're losing. That was at a nonprofit that was involved in environmental policy making. I'll let you narrow it down. Yeah. You said this last week.
Yeah.
I thought Money or Nazis wouldn't run very long. We'll do this for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. And this week you've got 2 choices.
This week I have 2 choices.
Okay.
I've got a story that was in the New York Times Magazine.
Okay. All right.
And then I've got a story about Elon Musk.
I want to make this sporting, so let's go with the New York Times Magazine.
Plus, we've already covered self-driving cars once this episode.
What does that have to do with Elon?
You're right.
Nothing.
You're right. Absolutely nothing. You're right. Okay, so the headline of this article from the New York Times Magazine, this was in the magazine's ethicist column. It's where you naturally find a Nazi article. Headline, I inherited a Nazi helmet from my husband. What should I do with it? I own a Nazi helmet my husband, now deceased, inherited from his father. For a long time, it didn't bother me. It only left me wondering about the soldier who wore it. But with the resurgence in white supremacy, neo-fascism, and anti-Semitism, I'm now very uncomfortable with it. So are we. But I can't seem to figure out what to do with it. I don't think a museum would be interested in it. I certainly would never sell it. Hold on. It's Money or Nazis.
That's harlan.crow@gmail.com.
Okay. I certainly would never sell it, being uneasy about who might buy it. Donating it to a theater costume shop is a possibility. Or should I save it as a piece of history for my great-grandchildren to learn from? Name withheld.
Okay.
Todd?
Here's the thing. Her instincts are right.
Yes,
in
agreed.
that. Okay, so
yeah,
her instincts are absolutely right.
Yes,
in
agreed.
that. Anybody who wants to buy it you should not sell it to, right? Like there's your conundrum.
Yeah,
right?
I'm on board with that. Yep.
Because if you get the response of like, I'm super interested in this and I'll double your price, do not sell.
Because there is money to be had from Nazis.
Yes. But
so this is, I guess this segment is money from Nazis, not money or Nazis.
Yeah. Let's see.
Making a note.
Not neat. We'll talk about that later. Okay. So
do I need to play the other theme?
Nope. Oh, no.
Okay.
No. That's perfectly fine. So
what do you think, ethicist? Donate it? Save it?
The one piece of that I was like, in the rise of white supremacists and whatever, I'm like, I don't know, is it a rise or is it just becoming more obvious? I will quibble with that. Anyway, that said.
I think she wrote resurgence.
Yes.
But yes.
Yeah.
With the public visibility of white supremacy.
There we go. Yes.
Needed an editor. That's what we're there for, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I if it were me, you don't really want to profit from it. But again, anybody who really wants it probably shouldn't have it. I think, yeah, boy, that's where does away go? That just needs to go away. Yeah, that's, boy, in this case, I would say I would be willing to forego the money to forego the Nazis. Actually, here's what I would do.
Okay.
There's got to be some sort of metal in that helmet. Maybe you could sell it to a scrap recycler who would melt it down or crush it.
Having been in the waste business, even tangentially,
Yes.
You're going to need to be a little careful about which scrap dealer you're trying to give it to.
Well, there's a Butte. Oh, God. Wrong one. God. Wrong one. I'll put that with the rest of my collection. Jeez.
Yeah. The garbage czar knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Okay. That's a tough one.
Yep. I thought that. I'm like, yeah. Again, another week. I'd like to think that we're going to go a week without money or Nazis.
Or
this week is not the week.
Okay. All right. Final answer, though.
Yes.
If you do want to donate it, I would just put it in a box and send it to the University of North Dakota and say, I think you're missing something from your arena. And don't sign it and don't leave a return address.
No return address. Nope.
You know what? They're sitting on $100 million kind of problem of that. An extra helmet isn't going to be that. They're going to be like, yeah, what's a little bit more?
Yeah, one helmet or another. Yeah. Oh, okay. So should we move on to, holy cow, should we move on to the Scott Frost Memorial Idiot of the Week?
Yes, please.
Okay. I don't know if you saw this article or not. Adam Schefter tweeted about a system. I'm just going to give you the one since I brought a choice for money or Nazis. Yeah. I'm just going to go with the one idiot this week.
Yeah, that seems fair.
The system in the NFL that rewards all players based on their playing time and their base salary. So if they have a low base salary, but they play a significant number of snaps, the player earns more through the system.
Yes.
You're familiar with this, right?
It's a centralized performance system to try to give people who, let's be honest, the NFL is screwing over a little bit of money so they can screw them over slightly less.
Slightly less. Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers, did you see how much he earned last year through the performance-based system?
No, I did not.
Oh. Should we do Todd guess a number? He played 3 snaps, 37 seconds of playing time last year.
And he outperformed his contract? How much extra money did he get?
Well, the title that I put in here was How to Make $80 the Hard Way. He got paid $81.14 in performance money for taking 3 snaps and a 4th one, which was his Achilles. He actually took 4 snaps last season. The 3 on the field and the 1 in his leg. Yeah.
He signed a $112 million 3-year contract. $75 million of the contract is fully guaranteed. Mm-hmm. And he had a $35 million roster bonus paid in 2023. And with all of that, the NFL said in those 3 snaps, man, you outperformed that. Maybe by a little, but you really gave us a lot more than we expected.
Yeah, the performance system is screwed up. How about you? I love bringing this.
I don't even.
What am I supposed to do with this?
In this one, so your title was $80 the hard way. Mine was, why do I have to keep covering this crap? I really don't.
ISPs?
Nope. The other one, though, smart TV manufacturers. So
Oh, yeah.
Roku,
Uh-huh. Oh, dear.
Roku has filed a recent patent filing that they have now figured out a way, at least they've patented. They haven't rolled it out yet. And companies patent stuff all the time. They don't always bring it to market. They're going to bring this to market. So if you have a Roku TV, I've talked about how they're going to put ads in there so that you can, while you're watching, they could put like a picture in picture.
Yes.
Well, the way around that, in theory, the way that it would get completely around that would be to use an HDMI input, like an Apple TV or a Fire Stick or something else.
Right.
Because then the HDMI signal comes straight in and Roku isn't involved at all. However, they have now figured out a way that can inject their own third-party ads directly into an HDMI connection. So one of the things that what they have described in the patent is monitoring the video signal that is coming through the HDMI cable, okay, that is playing on a completely external device. Figure out when the content was paused, recognize the content by grabbing a frame of that, and then serving up a relevant ad based on whatever it is that you are watching on your Apple TV or your PlayStation or whatever, and then leave the ad on the screen until the user hits play again. Yep.
And I would say the solution is just not buy any more new TVs. But I know that's not a solution because Samsung pushed down a firmware update and forced me to. Well, I talked about this several weeks ago about finding the button to turn. No, it's not a thumbs up. It's a thumbs down. Thank you.
Yeah,
Apple.
there you go. I got it right.
Thank you, Apple. Remember I talked about this, finding the button?
It changed your input, right?
Yes. Yeah, it changed my default input so that it was to the Samsung the Samsung channels that only Samsung has through the internet as the default, and made that so even not buying a new TV won't solve this problem. Thanks, Roku.
Yeah. I would say, although it's too late for you, the one option might be.
Almost always.
Yeah. If you have a smart TV at this point, just disconnect it from your wireless or your Ethernet and just completely disconnect it. And then just use the third-party box. That would at least stop the software updates. At some point, however, it might squawk and say you can't use your TV without a software update, which generally on most of the smart TVs, when they do the software update, they also upload all the data they've been tracking about you. So they say you have to connect to the internet to get the software updates, but also because we got to send stuff back to the mothership. Anyway, things are going smooth, and everything's going to, at some point, people are going to we figured out a way to put an ad inside of an ad, inside of an ad. So oh my God.
You're going to hold up that Pepsi can again like you were drinking on the show?
Mm. Yes,
we better be getting...
But then in the logo of the Pepsi can I'm holding would be a different ad for Coke.
Did you watch anything good?
Well, not the ads on the Roku TV. Yeah, so in the last week we watched last week I mentioned the Steve Part 1 on Apple TV, the Steve Martin documentary. We've watched Steve Part 2. We did that this week. And it looks like you're 1 week behind us on that.
Yeah, so because of your recommendation, I watched Steve, which apparently I have to say it like that because there is an exclamation.
They put an exclamation point. They put it there for a reason.
I liked Steve. It was pretty good.
So I will tell you, the second part of this is nothing like the first part.
Oh,
The second part is literally, he's on camera almost the entire time in present day being interviewed. A lot of times talking with other people, including Martin Short is in it a lot.
oh, good.
So this is it. The two parts are completely separate parts. So anyway, by the way, on part 1, where Steve does all the narration, did that happen to sound like anybody else to you? I didn't want to say this until you watched it because otherwise, if I said it, then it's a suggestion.
Bob Saget? I don't know.
While we were listening to it the entire time, it felt to me like it was David Letterman talking. If you go back and just listen to it, like any 3 or 4 minutes, you'll be like, son of a gun, are we sure that's not Dave? Anyway, we also, from last week, you talked about Girls 5 Eva. We did watch S3E1 last night. So we're starting to watch Girls 5 Eva now on Netflix.
With no ads.
True. Yes. How about you? What else did you watch?
On Friday night, we went to the Des Moines Playhouse and watched Beautiful, the Carole King musical.
Okay.
Which Amy had never seen. I saw when it came through on tour right after it opened on Broadway. On that first U.S. tour, it came to Des Moines and I saw it. Amy got sick right before curtain. And she excused herself and went to the bathroom. And then I got a text. I'm sick. I'm not coming back. Do you want me to come out? No, stay. Enjoy the show. And she went home. I don't remember whether we were 2016. We may have still been living at the old house. I don't know. Anyway, so Amy never saw it. The music is so good. It's not what I learned this week, but because I guess I relearned, I don't know. Anyway, so many hit songs from Jerry Goffin and Carole King and Barry Mann and Carol Wilde. Anyway, I mean, just over and over and over. And the Des Moines Playhouse crew, it's all volunteer, did an amazing job. And when we were done, then we went down to Star Bar for appetizers. And when we were done with that, we turned around and we were ready to walk out. And there's this big, huge, long table just full of I'm like, hey, cast party. So we told them what a great job they did, because they did. And it's playing in Des Moines. If you're listening to this in the greater Des Moines area, it's going to be in Des Moines at the Des Moines Playhouse until like the 21st of the month. You should go see this. It's really, really good. Yep. That's what we were watching. We watched Beautiful.
Excellent.
What did we learn this week?
So we had a plant expert come over to the house and go through, and basically the person does sort of landscape architecture with plants and has worked in the plant industry, but also comes over and basically is like, look, we had a landscaper put in some of these plants when we built this house, and we've put in some other random plants. And I'm just going to be honest. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to take care of them. I prune some of them and don't prune others. I have no idea. Most of them keep coming back. So she went through the yard, the backyard, the front yard, looked at everything, going to give us a nice report. She's talking about, hey, by the way, you're going to want to, like, hey, how often do you feed those? Sorry, what? Okay. Well, I will put down some feed for you. Okay. Yes. Yes. And she did ask me with, we've got some, they're not the prototypical rose bush, but we have a different type of rose bush here that are really, she's like, man, those things are, they're big and they're growing. She even said something about, how often do you something them, whatever? And I said, never. And then Lisa says, do you know what that means? And I'm like, no, that's how I know that I've never done that. I don't even know what that word is. And so I'm just going to assume that I've never,
and can't remember it now.
yeah, right? Like, oh, what's in the report? I'm supposed to put some spray on them of some kind. Anyway, when she was all done, she's like, really? She goes, most of your plants are really healthy. They're really happy. They're growing. Like, there's just a few things you need to do. One of the things she did point out, though, is, we do have some cactus. She's like, yeah, like that, just leave that alone. Like just leave it alone, because they grow here. And if you do anything to them, it'll just make it worse. And I'm like, that's the kind of plants I love.
How do I get some of them?
Yeah. Just so at the end of it, Lisa was like, hey, I'm feeling pretty good. Like, apparently, without knowing what we're doing, our plants are still mostly happy and mostly healthy. And so what I learned is I know what I'm doing. I really don't. I just lucked into this. But, we'll take a win. And at some point, I'm going to learn what that word is that I'm supposed to do with the rose bushes. How about you? What'd you learn?
So when we went to Beautiful, the Carole King musical, you have to say the full title, there was a about 20-minute talk beforehand, because it was opening night. So it was kind of an overview of the show, the history of the show, and the history of who's putting it on in Des Moines and that kind of thing. And so they talked about the different actresses that had played Carole King on Broadway or in the West End production or in the touring production, or, this kind of thing. One of whom, which I did not know this, something that I learned, was Melissa Benoist.
Yeah. Glee.
She was on Glee. She was on Supergirl.
So yeah, Supergirl.
She was Supergirl. She wasn't just on Supergirl. She was Supergirl. Yep. Melissa Benoist played Carole King on Broadway for several months. And I'm like, really? Okay, interesting. So I looked through and I figured out which actress played Carole King when the tour came through Des Moines. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Da, da, da. And so as I'm looking, and then YouTube feeds me a little video of Benoist performing on Broadway that somebody had bootlegged. Well, that was pretty good. I wonder if there's more to that. So I, adjust my search parameters, and back comes a 2 hour and 10-minute video on YouTube entitled Melissa Benoist Slime Tutorial. And I'm like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. So what I learned this week, people have decided en masse to thwart the YouTube algorithm by calling bootleg videos of Broadway shows slime tutorials.
Okay.
And there are literally hundreds of them on YouTube. Because the third thing that I watched this week was the full performance of Melissa Benoist in the Carole King, Beautiful, a Carole King musical. Couldn't sleep at 6 o'clock in the morning and, whatever. That performance also really good. Slime tutorial.
I'm just thinking after the Nickelodeon documentary, somebody may want to go back and think about maybe the keywords we're using to find this stuff, because I have a sneaking suspicion, at least according to that tutorial, there is some video from Nickelodeon around slime tutorial that has nothing to do with bootlegging Broadway stuff.
There was supposed to be a new episode of that dropped here recently too.
Yes, it's out.
Is it out? Oh, maybe we'll cover that next week. Oh boy. Oof. Music is Happy Boy by Kevin MacLeod. You can subscribe to our award-winning podcast with visiting Slimer Todd Prinz, wherever you get your pods. Search the reaction on the video toddlers. Oh my God. Search Talking and the number 2. There's no G and no space. You can stop by and see us at the Tuba City home office. Please don't do that. Thanks to our listeners and our sponsors and all of our contributors. You can send us your feedback to feedback@talkingtotodd.com. Todd?
Tying two things together from the show into one thing at the end. Having watched the Steve Martin Part 2, it turns out that your reference to money from Nazis, I believe, was only slightly less popular than Steve Martin's 1981 Pennies from Heaven, and they may have given each other a run for the money. Not received well.
So after watching Steve, I decided that you know what? I haven't watched The Three Amigos in a really long time. And it's on Amazon Prime. Oh, okay. Pull that up. Does not hold up.
Shocking. Did it hold up then?
No, it was not any good. Terrible movie.
That is covered, however, in Steve Part 2.
Oh, is it? Oh,
something to look forward to.
I should have watched Steve Part 2, and then I wouldn't have had to subject myself to.
Including, he reveals what inspired him to come up with the Three Amigos.
Oh, I can't wait. Okay. Content begets content. We'll be back next week. We're here. We're talking to Todd.
You know, I was just thinking that CEO of Canoe has a more profitable job renting his plane back to his company than the thing he gets paid to be CEO of. You can't say he's a bad businessman.
No, that's why he's CEO and not CFO. In that case, Canoe CFO stands for Canoe off.